Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Ashley's Oasis. And today we are going to get into the video topic of how to protect yourself against these gang stalkers. I'd like to go ahead and give a shout out to everyone that participated in the last few videos and putting comments down below under those videos and liking the videos. I really appreciate it. And I am very happy to see that other individuals have something positive and constructive to contribute to the conversation. I want to keep that energy going and flowing with this video, which is the second to last video for this series. And actually, this is the video I've been looking forward to making the absolute most from this series. So, without further ado, let's just get into it. How to protect yourself. Well, you protect yourself by documenting everything. And I mean any and everything that you deem relevant. So, number one, keeping records of all relevant harassment. Number two, always keep a legal means of self defense on your persons when outside the home. Shoot, maybe even within the home. You never know. Number three, don't travel alone. If this isn't possible, refer to number two. I absolutely live by this motto now. I once believed that I could just, go out in the world and just tra la la and be myself and go where I want and be around random people without any fear of, someone trying to do something stupid or whatever. And I quickly learned that from my previous experience with these individuals that, yeah, they can be unpredictable sometimes. And not only that, the means of which they choose to come and attack you can vary. Sometimes it's overt, sometimes it's covert. You just never know how these individuals might come. They might come towards you with a smile on their face, but all the while got a dagger behind their back. Or, and I mean a proverbial dagger. I'm not talking about real daggers, people. I mean, there might be some people out there that do that, but that's not what I meant when I said that. But, nonetheless, you never want to be caught off guard. You always want to make sure you have a way to protect and defend yourself because I am 100% in support of people defending themselves. I will never encourage anyone to go out and provoke and antagonize someone until provocation, but I definitely stand on you being able to stand your ground. And again, you need to refer to your local laws of wherever you live to see what constitutes being legal. Like some examples like pepper spray, mace. I know some states allow pocket knives, of course, a mouse tool, if you will. Again, if that's legal in your state to carry with the proper, documentation, absolutely do that if you are able to. And if you care about, being able to exercise that right, because I know not everyone is for that, but that doesn't mean that you still can't find other alternative ways to protect yourself. Um, Now, I'm gonna jump back to number one and talking about keeping records. So of relevant harassment, and I emphasize relevant because I understand that any and everything that these people might try to do to get a rise out of you may not necessarily constitute them breaking a law per se. However, I do believe that is for you to do your due diligence to figure out what is legal and what is not legal for your state. And you can just do that by a easy, quick search, whether it's using a search engine of your choice, and just look up the potential laws within that state. Because I know for me, myself, I'm at a point now wherever I go, I make sure to research all of those things so that if something does pop off, I know exactly what I am legally allowed to do and or not do versus what I'm allowed to carry, not carry, so on and so forth. But when it comes to the harassment, that keeping records of that could just be having a journal. And you just writing down what transpired, if you know who it was, or if you can give a description of the individual. If you know for a fact who it was, then you can just put who it was. And then of course, detailing whatever happened, and you just keep a hold of that. Now, I also recognize that there might be some individuals that are a little more bold than others. And for those, you specifically definitely need to keep something special set aside for them. I know myself personally, most of my documented proof is in video format. Not all of it, but most of it. And I also have that information backed up in various other places. And that's something I would also encourage, is to not keep all of your eggs in one basket. If you have a trusted friend, family member, confidant, or whatever that you do trust with that information, if you could give them a copy for safekeeping in the unfortunate event if something happened to you or whatever, and that they can provide the proper authorities that proof of information. Again, this is just about being on your toes, being, never letting them catch you lacking, so to speak. You always make sure you have plans A through Z set in place. And then, of course, number three, not traveling alone. I recognize also that not everyone is in a family dynamic to have a individual with them at all times. But even if you are a single individual, that's why I said refer to number two. Keep something on you at all times. And I'm not just talking about no whistle. Again, if a whistle makes you feel comfortable to carry, that's fine. But I mean something that can do some damage if need be. Not that you're looking to have to use it, but me personally, I like to live on that. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it type of attitude. And again, everything that I'm referring to needs to be legal, nothing illegal. I will never promote anyone to go out and, use anything that they're not supposed to be using. So keep that in mind. Moving right along. So we on to document everything continued. So more ways that you can, the means of documenting these encounters, you can, number four, install cameras at your residence. Number five, get an alarm system. Number six, you can also start looking at your friend group and those close to you. You need to vet those individuals, and I'll get more into that after I get done with the list. Number seven, do not hesitate to call the police in cases of true emergency. If it isn't life threatening or criminal, call the non emergency line instead. This way, you can still have record of the incident. Now, I'm going to start at the top. Number four, installing cameras at your residence. I feel like this is something that just is a must if you are a targeted individual. Not saying that it should be your bread and butter source to rely upon keeping you safe. However, for low level offenders, it can be a very good deterrent, because what's that saying that people like to say, no face, no case? People are less likely to try things if they're not being recorded. And like I said earlier, you got some people that are just bold and don't care about any of that, and who will still, proceed to try to do whatever they want to do. But also, that just goes back into that saying of, I'd rather you have it than, need it and not have it. Same goes for an alarm system. If you live in a residence where you don't have an alarm system, and let's say like you're a renter, and you may even live in an older residence that doesn't have an alarm system. Well, if you either can't, for whatever reason, install an alarm system, and or don't want to, there are other ways to place alarms in your home with things that are fairly inexpensive. I know I in the past have used like door alarm bells, those really loud ass annoying ones where it's like bing bong every time you go in and out somewhere. You could, buy a pack of those, I believe, at Walmart It's like four in a pack, I believe, for probably under what, $15 now, and install them on all of your door exits, depending on how many exits you have outside your home. And you could also install them on your windows. You could use like Velcro if you want something that isn't permanent. And or like 3M strips, you can just buy the backs of the 3M strips and apply it to it and put it on there, and it'll come right off, shouldn't cause any damage at all. Some other things, I know that there are like Wi-Fi alarm systems, because I've been looking into them myself, but I'm not too familiar with them, but I know that there are just, again, there's so many non-traditional alarm system approaches that you can take, whatever that looks like for you. If you are in a person who has tactical skills, who may have picked up how to rig alarm systems in your house, or like you see in those movies where it'd be like the old guy and he has like the wires set up around his home. Like, again, if you want to do something like that where it's attached to a bunch of cans, again, that's something that could be very inexpensive. And I mean, I know it might sound like I'm joking, but I'm not. Like, times are tough for everyone, and I know not everyone can afford to spend thousands of dollars getting an alarm system installed. So for those of you who might be in a might be financially strapped, these are some realistic things that you can look into. And I know going back to the Wi-Fi alarm system, I think I had seen something like that on Amazon. But again, doesn't mean that that's what you have to go with. These are just some, ideas that I've either used in the past or have seen myself outside of, a traditional alarm system provided through a company. All right. Number six, vetting your friends and or those close to you. This is very important. And I definitely don't want to leave this out because you have no idea how many people might believe that they have such a tight knit group of loving, trusting individuals, and all the while, a handful of them, if not all of them, actually secretly hate your guts, but they stick around for whatever benefits that, being around you brings them. So I definitely will say that you need to really and truly get to know these individuals, especially if there's someone that you just like recently met. I personally wouldn't advise like giving them, your actual phone number and address and stuff like that right away, especially if it's someone like, say, like a new coworker you just met at work or whatever. Like, get to know them outside of work, but not necessarily at your place or even their place. Like, be aware of who you surround yourself with, because as a TI, anyone can be used to attack you, and that sometimes does include friends and family members, and sometimes, like I said, those closest to you. I know, speaking from personal experiences, a lot of my betrayals and backstabs have come from people who were close to me, who were, like I said, my family or friends, whom I thought loved me, cared about me, but all the while was just waiting to put a proverbial dagger in my back. So I'm not saying that you need to be paranoid about every individual that comes around. Not like myself, because that's just my default trait. I suspect everybody until you show me otherwise. That's just me personally, from my life experience and traumas. So thank you, trauma. Yay for that superpower. But anyway, yeah. So just don't be so quick to want to have people around you, because I get it. I know not everyone is operates like myself. Like, I've grown completely okay being to myself, but I know that there are other individuals who do seek to make friendships and or get to know people and outside of the home and stuff like that. And you can still do those things, but I just urge caution. Proceed carefully. And then number seven, to not hesitate to call the police in cases of true emergency. So true emergency constitutes, if someone's done you bodily harm, you or or someone that you love has been injured, accidents, I mean, I would hope that you get the gist of what I mean by true emergency, not, oh, well, I saw a shadow, you know, out of the corner of my eye, and oh, I'm gonna call the police. No, like, I mean a true actual emergency. Um, and then if it isn't a true emergency, however, you still would like someone to come by and show up. You can call the non-emergency line. And again, a lot of these things I'm referencing to, I'm speaking in terms of my fellow individuals in the US. I don't know what these numbers and things might look like for people who are outside the US. If anyone does have that information, feel free to share it in the comments for those who might be able to benefit from that information. And or if you are looking for, help with search and stuff like that, let's all work together to see how we can help each other, no matter where we are. All right, so moving right along, one of my favorite parts I've been looking forward to getting to, self-care. Now, I know self-care is something that's, still fairly new in the world, that people have become more aware of, that it is very vital to take care of oneself, not just mentally, but physically, spiritually, emotionally, all the leaves, It is so important to love on yourself, especially if you are a TI and especially if you are actively being gang stalked. I cannot stress this enough. Um, so let's just go ahead and get into the breakdown. Do not neglect your self care routine. When I say don't neglect it, I mean that if you already have one established, great. Stick to that routine. Do not variate from it because it is important. It is a part of what's going to help keep you sane at the end of the day. All right. I understand how hard that might be, but it's important that you keep yourself well mentally and physically. Sleep as often and as long as you can. Keep busy with your hobbies or things you enjoy. So sleep definitely is an important one. If you are um, a person like myself, I tend to struggle with bouts of insomnia here and there. For me, it's more so staying asleep than it is going to sleep. It's been like that for some years now for me. I guess for the life of me can't figure it out, but I recognize that sleep is vital to helping with mental health. And that's another reason I'm stressing that, is because a lot of times if we are sleep deprived, our minds are more likely to go into like worst case scenarios, or to linger on traumatic experiences or things that we are experiencing in that moment, and or you're more likely to dwell on things from the past and stuff like that. And again, everything I'm speaking of, I'm speaking from personal experience. Everyone's sleep needs may look different. Some people might need a full solid 8 hours to feel completely rested. Some people might only need 6. Again, whatever that looks like for you, do your best to stick to that. And of course, that is including whatever schedules you're working around, whether it be work, whether it be school, or just keeping up with your family, like whatever that looks like. Make sure you stay true to that for you. Show up for you when it comes to your sleep. Um, Keeping busy with your hobbies and things you enjoy is pretty much clear cut. If you have hobbies, continue those hobbies. If you don't have hobbies, I would encourage you to explore and play around with different things to see what you like, because you would be surprised that a lot of the times our mental health is really attached to being physically active. And I know that that also can encompass exercise, which I think I may have left off here, but um, it is important to keep yourself moving, keep your body moving as well as your mind. And I know for me personally, I have so many different hobbies, and I love so many various things that I personally am never really bored, because I'm always jumping from one next hobby to the next and the next, and then I'll double back and, and revisit. So that's just me. That's how I operate. Again, that might look different for you. That might just be, you taking up fishing, or um, building train models, or um, painting, drawing, whatever your hobbies are. I encourage you to stick to them, and most importantly, don't forget to enjoy it, because oftentimes it'll be like an escape for you if you are a TI that is also experiencing, people coming at you actively. It can be a way for you to just take all of that negative energy and turn it into something positive. Self care continued. Be even kinder to yourself during the times of active attacks. So, no negative self talk. Man, this is one I really, really struggle with. I have always been one of my hardest critics. Just tend to get down on myself a lot of the time. But through me enduring those attacks that I experienced throughout this gang stalking, scenario, I really had to force myself to wake up each and every day and say like affirmations to myself or look myself in the mirror and say, you know what, you look good today. Instead of standing in front of the mirror and picking out everything I didn't like that I saw, I would choose to say something kind to myself and remind myself of everything that my body had gotten me through, even though it may not be the top of the line newest model, but this body has gotten me through a lot. And I'm grateful for it. So, no talking down on yourself about your intellect or your looks or your finances. Like, you should have nothing but kind things to say yourself at the end of the day, because trust me, those gang stalkers are going to likely be slandering you and calling you everything in the book but the son or daughter of God. So it's like, why join in and helping them tear you down, when you could just choose to uplift yourself and be kind to yourself. Reserve your energy by not reacting and ignoring minor attacks. Their goal is to get you to react. So do the opposite. Enjoy quality time with your loved ones. Reserving your energy when it comes to these attacks, minor or otherwise, is important. That can most often be achieved by just simply ignoring the actions. And I know that might sound counterintuitive because naturally, we as people, when someone wrongs us, it's not unnatural to want to, get back at someone. Like, I feel like that's just an innate um, emotion that most of us feel when we feel slighted or wrong. But I would encourage you to just ignore it, especially if you're not hurt, you're not injured, your property is fine, your loved ones, your pets, or whatever are fine. That's all. Hey, then you're good. You're golden. And to also not give them the satisfaction of seeing you react. I know some people's tolerance for this, again, might vary. Some people might have a very high tolerance for, shenanigans, and some people might have a very low tolerance. If you're one of those individuals that have a low tolerance, I will encourage you to work on building up that tolerance, because I assure you, if you give in to them one time, if you react to them one time, they will not stop. It's kind of like, I want to say, like with a bully. When you show them one time that you're scared of them or whatever, they will just hound you and feast on that same sore spot. They will just dig in their heels, attacking you on whatever it was they're able to get you to react to. So it is imperative that you work on minimizing your reactions. Don't give them the satisfaction. If you can walk away, walk away. If you find yourself in a situation you can't walk away, think of something funny while they're saying or doing whatever they're doing. Think about the most gut busting, funny, scene of a movie or short or play or whatever that you've ever seen. Think of something, that just every time you think about it, it just gives you the same reaction in terms of, something, a positive reaction. Just turn that negativity around into something good. And until they either start looking at you weird and like, what the flip are they laughing about, and they walk away, or that you don't even give them the energy. You don't even look at them, if you can do that. That's what I would encourage you to do. Enjoy quality time with your loved ones. again, it's self-explanatory. If you are an individual that has a family, love on your family. If you have children, spend time with your children. Actually spend one-on-one quality time with them. Ask them about the things that they like to do, and also see if you can set plans to take them to do whatever those things are. Or if it's like, hey, mom, dad, do you want to come in here and play a video game with me? Do that. Like anything that'll help you to take that energy of focusing on what someone is going to try to do to you or say to you, you can take it and turn it into a positive and work it for your benefit, instead of focusing on those individuals who would just, essentially want to do a wham bam thank you ma'am type of drive by on you just to get their hit of dopamine for the day. Um, if you have a spouse, same thing goes. Focus on your spouse. Focus on, redating each other, relearning each other, going on dates, talking about your future together, those type of things. Don't allow the negativity that you might hear or experience from those, naysayers to get in between you and your spouse, especially. Now, for my single individuals, I again understand that you may not necessarily have a loved one near you, and that's fine. And so, in that case, that loved one again becomes yourself. So, refer to what I said previously, to just continue to focus all of that love and all of that energy into yourself, build yourself up. Whether, if that's studying a certain topic so that you can get further in your work or school, or, playing the video games you like to play, playing the board games you like to play, taking a walk, taking a hike, taking a trip, whatever that looks like for you, do that for you. Self care continued. So I basically want to close out this section by saying that if you pray, then pray. If you sage, then sage. I'm doing it right now, me personally. If you journal, then journal. Do you see where I'm going with this? The best way to protect your peace is by living your life like nothing has changed. Do not dim your light for gang stalkers or anyone for that matter. So pretty much all self-explanatory. I am not per se a religious individual anymore. I, in the past, used to be, but I am no longer. I consider myself more of a spiritual individual these days. And so I do partake in saging quite often. I feel like it is something that I've grown to consider essential in my household. I look to saging as a way to not only cleanse but clarify my home of any negative spirits, intentions, any negative energy, any bad vibes, or whatever. Like, I just find it completely relaxing. I find it to be like reassuring. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand that it isn't a clear all for everything, but it makes me happy. So that's why I practice it. And the same thing with journaling. I do tend to journal from time to time. I find that when I put my thoughts on paper and out of my head, I am less likely to overthink these things. And then also, um, with praying, I can't say that I pray per se. I do find myself talking to the Most High very often. And you might benefit talking to whatever higher being that you might believe in, or the universe, or whatever it is that you believe, or what practice. Even if you don't believe, like I said, you can just find another tool that works for you. Doesn't have to be any of these that I listed. It's just, again, brief, non exhaustive lists of things that I personally have either used in the past or that I currently or actively use, that I found that have been beneficial to me. But you just have to discover what that is for you. Don't dim your light. I can't agree with that more. Do not stop being who you are for no one, because at the end of the day, people are going to talk. That's what we do, good or bad. Doesn't matter what you do, good or bad. Someone's gonna have something to say, good or bad. So you have to learn that and resolve to the fact that no matter what someone has to say about you or towards you or at you or whatever, that you know who you are. Do not let anyone else tell you who you are. Because that's a easy way for them to worm their way in to manipulate you and gaslight you and try to get the better of you, because when you don't trust yourself, you have to rely upon what others are telling you. I want you to become a independent thinker, a critical thinker for yourself, to understand that your thoughts are not facts. A lot of the times it is just the worst manifestations of how we feel about ourselves popping up in your brain and trying to convince you that it's true, but it's not. At the end of the day, the only person that can judge you is you, and I would encourage you to uh, self reflect. If there are areas or things that you can improve upon and work on for yourself, then you do that. But it's not anyone else's job or anyone else's place to tell you how you should be. That's only your job to figure out. And ultimately, just know that you got this. Like at the end of the day, it sucks. Like I understand, and I feel like this is one of those scenarios where you kind of have to embrace the suck. But I guarantee you that by implying some of these things, that hopefully you'll be able to find some semblance of peace through all the chaos, because that's where I am personally now. Through all of those things that people tried to do or did towards me and my family, I only took all of that and turned it into something beautiful, which leads me to my last and final point for this video. Last but not least, create. Here are some of my creations. Turn your pain into purpose. So, like I was saying, all of those things that those individuals were doing only led me to go within and to address what I needed to address with myself, whether that had been previous hurts, traumas, um, you know, my my mind and how I overthink certain scenarios and certain things and dwelling on past things. Like it only helped me to finally face those demons, so to speak, and be set free of them. And it was through all of that that I was able to finally create. It was almost like a mental block, like myself reacting or responding to each and every attack was keeping me from my true purpose, which was to create. Some of those things that I'm going to share with you guys that I created was, if you look at the first picture, is my wisdom wall. That was one of the first things that I created. My wisdom wall is comprised of quotes that I would oftentimes find while scrolling, like YouTube specifically, from some of my favorite YouTubers that I watch, that would post inspirational stuff. And I'd be like, hey, I really like that. Like, and I found that they were coming up so often during the heat of a lot of the attacks that I was experiencing, and it gave me solace. Like it really did help. And I was like, you know what, I just had an idea one day. I was like, you know what, I want to get these quotes off, get them offline and put them in my home. I want to be able to see them every day. So whatever it is I might stand in need of to see and remind myself, I got it right here in my house. And I created all the the lettering myself. Everything I pretty much uh, made myself, with the exception of the frame. I got that from IKEA, which is a beautiful frame. But I ended up adding like the strings that you see and everything. I did all that on my own. That was my idea to add those things, because I kind of wanted to go for like the clothespin look of like having pictures, but instead I just printed out all of the quotes. I kind of mod podged over them and then hung them up. And I know, to some people that may not fit your aesthetic or your home, but it works for me. Like again, it's meant to be interchangeable. So as new quotes come out that I vibe with, I can do the same and put them up and take them down. And I've done that several times since before the creation of this video. And even my children in the house enjoy looking at it from time to time and reminding themselves, that if they're endearing someone trying to tear them down or whatever, they'll come and start reading some of it and immediately start laughing and giggling and carrying on. So it's been a very good, positive way to, again, take a spin from a negative and turn it into a positive. The next thing that I ultimately created was my channel. My channel was born from all of these experiences that I experienced with gang stalking in particular. Like I stated in my last video, my backstory, YouTube has not been this has not been my first time on YouTube. This is actually my third time. And then for those of you who might be curious as to what my two previous channels were about, my first channel was about me documenting my experience going through breast cancer. Um, I am, as of this month, will be 9 years cancer free. So that's might also give you a little more insight into why I feel the way that I feel about things. Because I essentially have already had my life on the line before, and I know what that feels like. I had stage 3 breast cancer, and that's that's I can give you guys a story time on that because there are a lot of things that came out in the end that I didn't learn about until I'd say like a year ago about my stage, but I digress. That's for another time. My second YouTube channel was just like a lifestyle channel, following me and my family around to various, places and things that we go. A lot of it was like about trails and hikes and things that we would take. And it also was during the height of COVID. So it was really something positive to put out there and show people like, hey, even though uh, most of us were on lockdown and stuff, my family still was blessed to be able to get out wherever we could, and we just tried to stick to places that weren't so crowded. And hikes became, like I said, a very good favorite pastime for me and my family. That's something that we would oftentimes go out and do. We also feature like gaming nights on there because my family, we like to game virtually as well as board games. But yeah, and then now my third channel is just more so focusing on life and inspiration with just a focus on me this time around. So let this be a lesson to you. If you have in the past been a YouTube creator and didn't do so well, do so high, and you feel like, you know what, I want to reinvent myself, I want to come back, I'm here to encourage you that you can do that. Like I just told you, this is my third time on here, and my two previous YouTubes weren't super successful or anything like that, but that's okay because that wasn't my goal for either of those channels. I just wanted to, show positivity, during, when the world was just going through so much, chaos, especially with my second channel. And then with my first channel, it was more so to educate and inform people about breast cancer, especially because in my particular case, I had a lot of family members, and I just really wanted to keep all of them updated all at the same time. So that to me was just an easier medium than, say, sending out messages or text messages to everyone individually. It would have been very daunting because I have a very big family. And then with this channel, I have to say that so far, I feel like I have had much more of an impact than with my two previous, and that makes my heart happy to know that, again, that I'm being able to help people because I ultimately love helping people. But just like so many of us TIs and chosen ones, I'm sure we tend to endure people taking advantage of that. So, again, it's like you have to be able to do what you can within your boundaries and what works for you. And where I am right now in my life, this being able to get on here and be a creator, and a content creator, and being able to uplift other people and to encourage and or uplift and inform other people is right up my alleyway. So this I feel like is something I'm comfortable with doing for now. So my last thing that I'm going to share that I had created during this period was, you see the little lamp there. Well, I didn't create that. Let me let me be for real. I actually repurposed it. So I had purchased it, and it's a set. Actually, it's another one just like it. And originally it was all brown and ugly and dated, and I didn't like that. And then the lampshade originally was all cracked and crusty, and I was told that it had been had been saved from a popular hotel from San Diego, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So it does, it has it's like a vintage piece, and but I didn't like the color scheme, so I painted it that beautiful like hunter green color. I love that green, that type of green right now. Like it's just been a color I've been vibing with a lot lately, and I did that for both lamps, and I also, like I said, replaced the lampshades, and yeah, so. I was taking my pain, any angst, any sadness, any anger, and just turning it churning it, excuse me, and taking it and turning it into something positive. And that's pretty much the overall theme of this video. Take your pain, turn it into purpose, help someone else. I know that might sound corny and cliche, but it is so true. That it is a lot easier to get through life and its adversities when you instead focus on someone else instead of yourself and what's not going right for you. I know for me that that is very true. Not that I'm saying I intentionally just like ignore my own problems to just help other people so I don't have to face it. It's like, no, I still face my own issues, but I don't like to dwell on it. Or I'm getting to a place where I don't want to dwell on it anymore. So when I know I've said everything I need to say, done everything I need to do, I'm like, okay, what can I do next? Who can I serve next? Or if a opportunity presents itself that I am okay with to help someone, then I will help. But I will not be forced into helping other people any longer. Like I said, that was me in my people pleaser phase where I oftentimes did things that I didn't want to do just because I wanted to be seen as quote unquote nice. But I recognize now that there is a very stark difference between being nice and being kind. I wish to be kind because by being kind, you can still tell someone to fuck off if you need to. When you resolve to just, oh, being so nice and sweet, that means that as soon as you say no and you set a boundary, people are going to be ready to tear your head off because, oh, well, I thought you were nice. And it's like you can't really walk that back, you know? So that's why for me, I'm like, no, I rather be kind because I can still do all the things a nice person can do, but I can still tell you no and go to bed and go to sleep with no with no thought, no second thought of it on my mind, and know that I still love me at the end of the day. I love and respect myself more than anyone else to let people overstep those boundaries anymore. So yeah, I hope that you all have been able to take something positive from this message. Please, please, please love yourselves, people. Don't let these people stop you from doing whatever it is you're setting out to do. Don't change your plans. Don't try to appease them by, oh, I'm just so looking sad or down. Or no, because I hate to say it, but that's something that I kept coming across in my research with dealing with gang stalkers, and people are like, yeah, just if you're happy, don't show that you're happy, and look sad and look mad. And I'm like, no, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, if a person's hating on me because I'm happy, why the flip would I want to turn around and pretend like I'm mad and sad so that they can feel happy? Like, no, if they feel a type of way about me being happy and living my life, let them feel how they feel. I don't have any control over how they feel and how they react to my happiness. And honestly, I don't even understand why someone would be so shaken or moved one way or another by my happiness. That doesn't make any sense unless that's a person who just truly doesn't, mess with me and doesn't want to be around me. And again, that's fine. Like, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that is fine. I also recognize that I don't have to be friendly to everyone to get everybody to like me. Like, I'm not one of those people. I am very much so okay being myself. So if that rubs people the wrong way, then it just rubs them the wrong way. If anything, those people need to go do their own self work and self healing and ask themselves why they feel so triggered at seeing someone else happy. Because that's just it's a weird phenomenon to me. It's one I don't think I'll ever understand. But yeah, I just want to keep encouraging and just keep repeating, love yourself. Self-care is the best care. Don't stop doing it. If you haven't started, I encourage you to start. I don't care if that's, all you can afford is to go to the Dollar Tree and pick up a little $1.25 little facial mask and run you a little bubble bath with some Dawn dish soap. If that's all you got, that is absolutely fine. You do what you can until you can do better, because I believe in that motto too. You hold on to what you got until you can do better. But just you got to figure out what makes you happy and cling to it for dear life. Don't let it go. So that's all I got to say for this video. I've really enjoyed presenting this series to you guys, and the next video will be the final video, the conclusion. And I encourage you all to show up for it again, because it is going to include my final thoughts where I plan to address my gang stalkers if they are listening and watching this channel, which I'm sure some of them are. And then also ultimately my subscribers. I have a final word for you too, as well as some resources. So please join me back here to finish that out. And again, thank you all for your patience and showing up for all of these videos for this series. I encourage you all to just continue to love on yourselves, love on each other, appreciate one another, and be kind to each other. And thank you for continuing to comment and share in the comments and like in the videos. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so, so very much. Until next time, see ya.